So that is encouraging.
Yeah. Moving on from the beloved high tide topic, what is one? How big are you guys into small caps?
Fairly big, yeah.
Fairly big?
I think I can pull up on Finchat, maybe even right now, my portfolio. I'm trying to think in my head. I have a mix of everything. I think Nintendo is like a $50-60 billion market cap, but I have 2 or 3 sub 3, no, yeah, maybe 5 that are sub-billion-dollar market caps. So I think
Right.
that's where you can find a lot of opportunities, and you can size it a little bit lower, but just given, the law of large numbers, which apparently don't apply to the Mag 7, but besides that, it seems to apply. That's where you can find some of the large winners, and if you get into the right company, and you hold on for 10 or 20 years, if I'm going off of my, I do work at Right for the Motley Fool, so I like to quote David Gardner sometimes. That's where his magic was made, and that's how he got his 100 beggars.
Yeah, I don't typically think about them that way. Like just in the like, I don't think of it as buying a small cap necessarily. But if it ends up happening, like if I like the business, I like the characteristics, and it's a small cap, that's potentially even better if I think the addressable market is large enough. Looking through my list now, I own 3 companies that are small caps. I do a small cap of the week every week on our podcast and just kind of look at a lot of different, basically, sometimes people will pitch them, sometimes I'll find them on aggregators, stuff like that, and just kind of try to do a very cursory look at small cap companies. And the reality with a lot of them is that they just face challenges that the companies that have been doing it for 40 or 50 years have advantages over them. So it's like, it's really rare, I think, to find that one where it's a small cap, it has a clear path to growth, a large market, and they have an advantage over the companies that are larger than them, like the innovator's dilemma. I think a lot of people paint small caps as having, like, it's very easy to get rose-colored glasses with small caps, but we've been hurt the other way a couple times when that happens. So yeah, I'm okay owning them, but I'm a little more picky when it comes to that, I guess, cohort of stocks.
No, that's fair. Have either of you, 2 of you, heard of Evolution Gaming?
We have.
We have. We did a show on them. We didn't interview, right, Ryan? It wasn't your research pitch.
Yeah, Speedwell came on and talked, basically did a deep dive on the business, and he knows the business very well, much better than ourselves. So
His name's not Speedwell. His name's Drew, but he runs
yes,
Speedwell Research.
Speedwell Research is the
yeah, it's a research
pseudonym.
firm. Yeah.
We're doing a roundtable on Saturday on Evolution. We're going to convince Fiscal to pick up some shares. But
it's cheap. Hey, it's cheap. And if you don't mind Sin stocks, it's.
I love Sin stocks. They're my favorite.
A Sin software stock. You can't find those these days.
Yeah, it's cheap, and they seem to have a smart capital allocator. Yeah,
and incredible margins.
Yeah, that's
good
like
margin.
Shockingly really attractive. Like they got everything. It's like, growing dividend, cheap valuation. But then I recently placed a limit order at like 75, relatively small position for my portfolio. Then like 2 days after, of course, there's news coming out that there's going to be like new regulation, something with the European lawmakers, and it's just not in the favor of. It's just perfect timing, of course, for when I bought. So
yeah,
it sounds like
the gray markets and all that stuff, and all the countries make it really tough.
Yeah, it's thankfully though it recovered, so we're doing okay right now. But are either of you 2 interested in potentially adding to Evolution Gaming at some point? You enjoy the Sin stocks with Philip Morris and.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to investing in a company like if I don't agree with their the morals of it and the ethics of the business, which honestly I would have more problem with Evolution than Philip Morris, just given that the addictiveness of the online gaming and stuff like that. But I think what keeps me out is the regulatory uncertainty.
Yeah, I understand.
Because we don't know. The governments around the world could just decide, all right, nope, you're done.
That was my that's the thing that kept me from making the plunge. Is it seems like a lot of potential regulatory red tape with all the places that they operate and everything, and any one of them could have a gambling crackdown. Like the U.S. had the unlawful something gambling act in like 2006 that ended up screwing over Poker Stars and Full Tilt Poker
Right.
years later, because they didn't really enforce it at first, and then one day the Justice Department just shut down the sites. And it's like, who's to say that could not, something similar couldn't happen that would affect Evolution. But maybe I'm like overblowing that fear, because I personally was into online poker when that happened, and like, so I got burned a little bit, and I'm worried about the same thing happening again and getting like a double dose. But
Yeah, I think
Go for
what
Christmas hat.
what Drew or Speedwell would argue is that they can benefit because of the how large they are, and they can deal with the regulatory bodies around the world and make sure they're up to code or up to speed and stuff like that. And I would recommend for anyone really interested in the company, we did I think it was over an hour interview with him, dive very deep into the business, and people seem to enjoy that one. So check it out for the full details. But again, my pushback for him would be, and why I think Ryan doesn't own it as well, but I'll maybe let him give his thoughts, is the fact that I don't know if in 3 years the rules are going to change. Because this is something that is not productive for society, and it really is wasting a lot of young people's money, especially young men. And
I
I
beg to
think there
differ.
could be a scandal brewing. Yeah, similar with sports betting,
Yeah.
where there could be some sort of bubble bursting of these online games, and when the governments realize how much money is getting wasted on these things, there might be, I don't know, new regulations coming through.
Yeah, something I do like about it is that you have a lot of funds and asset managers that are simply exempt from investing in something like this. It's the same with the tobacco companies,
Yeah.
where they'll literally have, they'll pay consultants to basically come up with a list of companies that violate certain ethics rules. And I imagine Evolution ends up on a lot of those lists, just given the habit they potentially cultivate. But if nothing changes regulatory wise or regulation wise, it's hard to see this not ending up being a pretty impressive investment from here. The valuation looks extremely attractive. The growth and the opportunity are both there, and they seem to have, when we first looked at it, I had some worries about the competitive dynamics. I didn't really know who they were competing against. And it seems like the biggest threat to their business is big gambling operators trying to build this internally. And no one has really done that to the level that a lot of gamblers, I guess, want. Like, apparently there's been a lot of instances where people try to turn off of Evolution Gaming. They try to build it in-house, and then a lot of their gamblers turn away and say, this is not what we want. You're missing all these different features. And so Evolution's just really done a good job fine-tuning their product and their variety of products. So I don't have as much concern on the competitive front, but yeah, I mean, the regulation is very much a threat, and it's going to be noisy to own for sure. Like, you just mentioned that you own some shares, and then all of a sudden you saw that regulatory headline. That's going to happen probably every month for the foreseeable future. Like,
That's small caps, though. You just gotta
and
deal with it.
you see the same thing out of the tobacco companies, right? I mean, all the time they're talking about certain bans. I mean, when prior administration came in, there was a lot of talk about trying to, like,
The menthol ban, yeah.
there was even concerns over like trying to basically get rid of cigarettes in some way, which I imagine administrations have been doing for quite a long time, and here they are still. So I'm probably closer to buying it, I imagine, than Brett. With Evolution Gaming, I think it's a really impressive business, but I would size it probably pretty small.
Good
Makes
fun.
sense.